Hey everyone, how we all doing today? Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe. Back today with another how-to video. 2012 GMC Acadia. Today we're going to be doing front brake pads. And I don't know if it's going to need rotors. We'll find out when we get in there. I don't have the rotors, so hopefully it just pads. And this is a basic. It'll be about the same as most cars on the front brakes. So we will get started. First thing we're going to do, obviously, we're going to jack the car up. We're going to set the e-brake, jack the car up, and get the front tires off, and I will be right back in a second. Okay, so we got it up in the air. There's little jack points down there. You can kind of jack it on. It's always a good idea to put some stands under it. And if you're using hand tools to get the tire off, you're going to want to leave the tire on the ground. Pop the lug nuts loose, and then jack it up the rest of the way. But I'm going to be using my Milwaukee Fuel 1/2-inch drive M18 impact. I'll leave links in the description to all the tools I'm using today and all the parts and tools so that it's easier to find them if you're interested in doing this. So I'm going to take the tire off. Pardon me, I'm holding the camera. So if you see me struggling a little bit, it's because I'm working one-handed here, so bear with. Okay, and the lug nuts on this are a 22 millimeter, or for you standard guys, it's 7/8. In case you need to know that. So keep an eye out for that, and let me get this tire off, and then we can get up in there a little better and see what we're doing, and I'll be right back. Alright, so we got the tire off. So it looks like it's just going to be this bolt here and this bolt here. Sometimes you can just remove the lower one and swing the caliper up. And since we're not doing rotors, rotor seems to be okay. If you're doing a rotor, you've got a little Torx head here. It's got to come off. And then the rotor should, after you take the bracket off, which is a couple bolts back here, the bracket will come off. But for now, we're just going to do the caliper. Just going to pull that caliper off. It should be a 13 millimeter or a 14. I'll grab my tool and I'll be right back. Okay, so we are looking at a 13 millimeter. Get this bolt. I've already removed the bolt. It's just this lower one down here. And then you grab your pry bar, your screwdriver, and you can just flip up the caliper like this. Just swing it up there like that, and it's out of your way. And then we pull the pads out. Pads don't look horrible on this one today, but it looks like they're getting due. They're just changing them for preventative maintenance purposes, which is good. They don't want them to go bad. And then it's always a good idea to take these off, take these little rattle clips out, and clean them, scrape them off with a wire brush before we reuse them. So grab your wire brush here. Yeah, so just get your wire brush and you clean up just up inside of there where the pad runs on. Just get them kind of clean. If you could get a rag or some brake cleaner, wouldn't hurt anything either. But just get them as clean as you can, so the pads have a nice smooth surface to slide on. And you pop them back in place like that. And then you pop the top one back in there just the same way. It just kind of goes up in that little notch right there. Like that. Might need to, pardon me, I might need to use two hands, but it just goes up in there, kind of like that, until it fits in there good. Okay, then you can just slide your caliper out from this pin, just slide it out of the top and set it here. Next we want to do is we need to depress the caliper. What I usually do, I put a pad backwards like that, and then I grab my brake depressor tool. You can get these at any part store, will sell them. I can leave a description for it, a link in the description down below if you want to get yourself one of these. It'll make life a lot easier. But we just put it in here like this and squeeze the handle, and it pushes in them caliper boots. Just pushing the handle. To release it, you push in on that, it releases it. These double piston calipers, you want to go back and forth from side to side, pushing this caliper a couple times. Move back to this caliper, this piston. Get them all pushed in good. It's always a good idea to clean these off. Get a rag, wipe those down, pull out the bottom one. It's kind of stiff. Pull them out, clean them off real good, and then put a little bit of brake grease on them so that they slide in and out really good. Just go up to the parts house. I just grab a tube of this. It's like $13–14, but it lasts forever because you don't need a whole lot of it. Just put a little bit of it on your sliders. It doesn't have to be pretty. As you're pulling it in, as you're putting it in, kind of give it a little twist in and out a little bit. Give it a, so it can rub in there pretty good. Then we slide the caliper back in place. Same way we slid it out, just like that. Twist it in and out a little bit. And then pads. Okay, so the new pads, I usually put the one, if they don't both have it, I usually put the one with the squealer on the inboard. I usually put a little bit of grease on that right there, on that little thing, so it has a good place to slide. Usually put the inboard, this one on the inboard. Usually try to stick it in here first, like that. And then the other pad, the one without the squealer, on the outboard pad. Got to grease that up real quick before I put them. Okay, same way, down in there, up in there like so. Pads are there, and then you want to put a little bit of your grease on the backing plates of your pads, just to keep the noise down a little bit. Just put a little bit of, just run a little bit of it on there like that, inside and outside. It keeps noise down. It's not really for anything but that. Just kind of lube them up, lube them where the caliper pistons will hit and where those will run. And then you just slide the caliper back down like that. Then you put that bolt back in. Then you run that lower caliper bolt back in. It's a good idea. I don't usually do it too often, but it's a good idea to Loctite these. I always Loctite the bracket bolts. I don't usually Loctite these ones just because it can get too hard to get them back out next time if you Loctite them. But just make sure you get it good and tight. Get a little bit of, and that's how you do your pads on most vehicles. Most of them are similar to this. But like I said, if you were doing a rotor, you'd have to take this bracket off, and there's an upper and lower bolt here. I think it's like a 19 millimeter, 19 or a 21, and then you pull this little Torx bit out, and then the rotor should just slide off. Sometimes you have to smack on it with a hammer, but you slide the rotor off, put the rotor back on, put your bracket back on, put the caliper back on, and simple as that. Anyway, I'll put links to all the parts and all the tools I used in the description down below. If you wouldn't mind, give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, throw it in a comment down below. Be sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Every little bit helps. Every subscribe, every like, every comment really helps the channel grow, so I can put on more videos like this. So please do, and I will see you next time. One last thing, hopefully you all have stuck around to the end. But one last thing, always make sure you pump up the brake pedal before you start to drive away. That way you pump up that caliper. If you don't do that, you're going to put it in gear and you're going to take off and you're not going to stop. So, disclaimer, make sure you pump up that brake pedal before you take off after you're done doing your brakes. So, hopefully you watch till the end. I'll leave a comment in the first comments or the description. Also, make sure you pump up your brakes. We don't want to have you in an accident and have it be my fault because I forgot to tell you to pump up your brakes. So, pump up your brakes. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment, you know the drill. And now, I will see you next time.